This is what all in looks like. The road to 25,000. I'm talking about 25,000 jobs. I mean, we're here celebrating ICA's 2,500 jobs. I know you can't be satisfied with that. I mean, you could be, but I'm encouraging you sort of not to be. Based on who's in this room, this is the kind of number that we should be talking about. We have the ability to actually get this done. We don't need the government to do a whole lot. Entrepreneurs never have. We find a way. We find a way. I wanted to talk about what we can do to make this come true and really get back to the theme of what does all in mean. To the corporations that are here, pay small businesses on time. Now, some of you are like, we pay them on time. Well, people wouldn't be applauding if that was happening, okay? Sometimes you don't have to do analysis or hire consultants to do studies. Are we paying them on time? All you have to do is listen. This needs to happen. If you pay a small business on time, they don't have to get a credit line that's as high as they do otherwise. 30% of that credit line is because they don't get paid on time. And then if you take longer to pay them, they need more of a credit line, and right now it's real hard to get a credit line. So this is something you could do to be all in. The other one, more important, is pay them enough. You gotta pay them enough. So it's like, it's great to do business with small businesses, but have you asked them, are you making any money? I mean, are you making any money? You should care about that. Now, I know when you're doing business with other big businesses, you don't ask them that question. It's important to ask this question of small businesses. You're gonna be surprised when you get the answer. You're gonna be really surprised. And there's a way for you to do it. I've got plenty of ideas, I don't have time to go into it. I believe you've got the creativity to figure it out. But you gotta start by asking the question, because what's good for the goose is good for the gander. I didn't know what that meant, I looked it up, and here's what it means. That's a male goose, is a gander. So what I'm talking about here is, this is the top. This is the corporate headquarters. They always look really nice. The glass doesn't have any fingerprints. There's carpeting on the floors. Okay, this is kind of how it looks. And things are different here. Even the air smells different, and the water's double purified. Okay, this is what it's like at the top. The other thing that happens here is people get paid up front. People negotiate deals. I don't have any problem with those things. I love all those things. All I'm saying is, if it's good there, it's good here too. Okay? I'm just asking you to take the same things you do up there on the carpet and pull it down to the tiles and the cement floors. Because it's all about trust. That's what I believe. It's about trust. It's when we get on the carpeting floors, big company to big company, we trust one another. And for some reason, it's a little harder. Maybe you have to make sure you have people in your company who can build that kind of a trust with a small business. I couldn't resist it. I mean, what's he saying? I don't really know. I just love The Godfather. And I always have to have a Godfather or a Revolver movie reference in every presentation. But actually, I'm going somewhere with this. Sonny, it's not personal, it's business. Okay? Here's what I mean about this. This is a strange phenomenon that I've experienced. You're sitting down doing business with a big company, and this odd thing happens where the person says to you, so, what are you gonna do with this $1 million contract? You know, I make $55,000 a year. And I'm like, oh no, because it's gotten personal. They don't think that way when they send a $10 million check to Dell for computers, or $5 million check to Hewlett Packard. They only think that way when they're sitting with a small business person, because it gets personal. Well, let me just pass on a few things. This $1 million contract, there's something that maybe you don't know of called cost of sales, cost of goods sold, that gets subtracted from that $1 million contract. There's something you may not think about called overhead that gets subtracted from that. And I will tell you, and bet you a lot of money, this small business person getting this first $1 million contract isn't gonna make any money. Let me tell you why, because small business people make a mistake. They bid too low just to get in, because they think, oh, if I get in, I'm gonna be able to raise my prices. You're not gonna ever be able to raise your prices. It doesn't happen. Don't do this. It doesn't happen. So I'm just saying, for the small business person, don't fall into that trap. Don't buy work unless you got the money and the padding and the banking to make that kind of strategic decision. And if you're a big company person, don't get personal. It's not about you and that person, because there's nothing wrong with having millionaires in the inner city. There's nothing wrong with this at all. You know? And I mean millionaires doing legal things, you know. We know about illegal millionaires in the inner city, but those businesses are not sustainable, okay? We're talking about good businesses. It's really an okay thing to do. I'd love to be in the Fox Theater next year, and we're awarding all the newly minted millionaires. I don't mean the newly minted had $1 million contracts, because most of those people don't have any money in their pocket. I'm talking about newly minted millionaires, because the thing about these businesses and all the people who are on this stage, they all live in Oakland. They live in the cities, and they spend the money in the cities. They don't go to the suburbs. They stay here. So if you want to have people able to buy the stuff that you're selling, this is the best way to do it. Create some inner city millionaires. To the entrepreneurs, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. You got to deliver. You got to deliver. We say it all the time in the class. You have to deliver. You can't go in there half-stepping. And you might say, well, that's unfair. There's more pressure on me. Yes, there is. You have got to deliver. Because when you're small and you get in a big company, believe it or not, somebody in that big company has taken a risk. That's the way it is. It's like when you bring in a small business, who brought them in? Somebody's kind of labeled with them. They're rooting for you because they took the risk. Maybe it shouldn't be that way. It is that risk. The other thing is to be consistent. You don't want to come in doing great and then go down. You want to be consistent. So sometimes it's better to wait until you're ready to get this big company business. The other thing to the small businesses, hire the hard to employ. A lot of us are working in this area. For the big companies, they are working and they are trying, but they got to have committees, task forces, inside legal opinions, outside legal opinions, risk management teams, assessments. Okay, they got to do so much to make this happen. We can make it happen. I do it. Just meet my team. I couldn't resist it. But what I'm saying here is there are people who have gone through some tough times. They need work, and it's something that we can do for them. So I'm going to show you a picture of some ex-offenders. Brace yourself, but I just want you to get ready for the kinds of people you're going to need to start thinking about hiring. I don't know about you, but when I walk down the street and I see people that look like this, I get horrified. I have been mugged internationally. All I lost was like 20 bucks. These cats will take millions, your whole retirement fund, and wreck a whole community. These are the kind of criminals that I'm really afraid of. But sooner or later, they'll get out. They need another chance. This guy looks reformed. Maybe he needs another chance. This guy, well, actually, he won't look like that when he gets out. This guy, I wouldn't hire him. You don't have to hire every ex-convict. Okay, but you get the point? And many of you are doing this. We have the responsibility as small businesses to find a way to give people an opportunity, because you give somebody that opportunity, we all know what happens. Nothing but great things. They don't let you down. When the press shows up, mention ICA. That's what I'm asking you to do. I'm not saying mention ICA before your company name, but why not? Okay? ICA is a nonprofit. The only way we get to create 2,500 jobs and 25,000 jobs is we got to raise money to be able to do that, so we can help more companies. We want this event at the Coliseum. That's what we want, so we need your help to make that happen. Finally, don't forget what got you here. Don't forget what got you here. I got my friend Mike Sabri up here. And his firm just received an award. And largely the reason they got that award is because of great work, but it all started with Mike Sabri. I was working with an ICA company. There was a tough issue. Mike Sabri was on one side. We had Dick Lyons from Wendell Rosendean on the other side. We worked, did the best we could. And at the end, Michael said, you know what? I really admired what you did. Tell me something about this ICA. I go to his office and talk to him about ICA. And he goes, maybe I want to do that. And I'm like, hey, why don't you get your firm to do it? You think you can get your firm to do it? And he's drinking, it looks like some juice. And he goes, hey, I'll go grab a couple of people and come back in. He gets up and leaves. I'm like, what? He's like gonna make something happen now. This is highly unusual. I like this guy. So he leaves. I immediately sniff his juice because I'm like, he must be drinking gin and juice. This is like one of those alcoholic, problematic lawyer guys. And I sniffed it. It was like grapefruit juice. You know, anyway, he comes back in and the firm just jumps in and gets on board. And so they've got a sliding scale in place to help companies and to help companies grow. Well, we've had a few companies that have been successful and taken advantage of services like this, and then later they move to a different law firm because they're getting 30% less or 20% off. And what I'm saying is, you need to stick with the group that got you there. Okay, when you get in the position where you can make money, you need to spend it with the people who took no money and got you in a position where you can make some money. Mark Zuckerberg. I'm putting him up here for a few reasons. One is that I respect the guy. The guy could have been a billionaire about 5 years ago, could have taken the $3 million from Microsoft and put it in his pocket. He didn't. He kept pursuing his dream. But I've got him up here for a different reason. I've got him up here because here's a guy who raised millions of dollars. Never once had his FICO score checked. Never once had to give a personal guarantee. Never once had to give a drug test. All things that I'm aware of that people have to do to try and raise money. Now, I get it. I went to business school. This is a huge market opportunity. And when there's a huge market opportunity, you suspend the rules. You do whatever you can to get on this gravy train so you can ride it, because if it hits, it's gonna hit. I get it. I completely get it. All I'm saying is, what about thinking about another huge market opportunity? A market opportunity of creating 25,000 jobs. Market opportunity where people are employed and are able to pay a fair, livable wage and provide health care. A market opportunity where people who are involved in this network spend their money in the inner city, which we know are safer and people more and more educated and are fulfilled and have a whole lot more dignity. We also know people in the inner city will hire ex-offenders. If we thought about that market opportunity, is that not a compelling market opportunity? Is that not a huge, great vision? Does that not take care of most of society's problems? Well, if you believe that, then how come we can't suspend some of the rules here? Okay? How come we have entrepreneurs going to get a loan, putting their house up, putting their car up? We have an incident in their past from 5 years ago, and they've cleaned it up, but they still have a low score, and it prevents them from getting capital? All I'm trying to say is what's good for the goose is good for the gander. That if we believe in the market opportunity, if we really believe this makes society much better, we're gonna have to stop doing things the same way. And if you're like, oh, we have these rules and regulations, well, the rules and regulations didn't help us in 2008. So a lot of times rules and regulations are just reasons to do the same old thing. If we want a different result, we're gonna have to do things differently.